Hello and welcome to In Progress. My name is Raymond Perez. Now, let's be very clear. I recently made a video where I graded Joe Biden and I did not give him a particularly good grade. I do not like the state of the country at the moment, which is generally not the fault of the president, but here I think it is partially the fault of the president. Now, I'm not blaming him for the economic woes of the country. I think that a lot of the inflation, as I've mentioned before, time and time again, in any video where I mention inflation, I say this, it was not his fault. It is a supply chain crisis that can't really be fixed. And we know this for a few reasons. Number one, every country in the world is experiencing a high level of inflation. So if you blame this on Biden, I don't know what to tell you, right? The U.S. economy is the most important economy, and it does influence the rest of the world. But at the same time, there are things bigger than the U.S. economy, and that is called the supply chain. So a lot of things are changing right now, but we do know that the U.S. dollar is appreciating relative to the euro, relative to the British pound, and it's generally gaining ground on these various currencies. So the idea that U.S. inflation is out of control is completely silly. That being said, and by the way, I've taken your international monetary economics, I've taken all of those, so don't cry about, well, actually, it's not how appreciation is used. I don't give a shit. Okay, don't fucking talk to me about it. But regardless, God, the fact that I just triggered myself, I'm not happy with what I just said. But I'm still right, but I'm not happy with how I worded it. Okay. And I'm not going to re-record it. I'm not going to. Anyway, regardless, the point is that I am not upset at Biden for the economy. It's not his fault. As much as I like to say that Biden would have a good economy, it's not really his fault. If he had a good economy, it wouldn't really be his fault. But that being said, Biden could have a better economy. And a lot of that is due to Build Back Better, which seems to be dead in the water. It is probably dead in the water, although I do think Build Back Better will pass. It will not be the Build Back Better that we all want. We all, meaning liberals. A lot of liberals tend to claim that Build Back Better is popular among the population, but that's not fucking true. If you look at any poll, if you poll the thing separately, they poll very well. Yeah, but that's not getting passed separately, so why do that? Why poll them separately? And why care about those polls? Because that's not how politics works. Okay, you get You get like 3 shots of reconciliation a year, depending on how the parliamentarian feels. By the way, another weird thing. A lot of people were upset that the parliamentarian, struck out minimum wage from the original American Rescue Plan, and they were like, "I've never heard of the parliamentarian." Well, that's a you problem. How have you not heard of the parliamentarian? They did. They were important in the tax cuts, both under Bush and Trump. They were important with the immigration crisis. They've always been important with reconciliation. So the fact that you didn't know that just shows that you don't follow politics, which is fine, by the way. But don't blame Joe Biden for not knowing who the parliamentarian is. Anyway, that aside, we're 3 minutes in. I need to talk about why I'm pissed at Joe Biden. Okay, number one, Joe Biden has not made any attempt to appeal to the American people. He very recently did something on voting rights, which is fine, but he completely abandoned it a couple days later. So he said, okay, Build Back Better is dead, even though I wasted 8 months of my presidency negotiating it. And now I guess I'm going to do voting rights. And I'm going to only do it for 10 days and then, drop that too. Okay, Joe, that's fine, but, actually do something, maybe. That would be good. And it seems like he just happens to not want to do something. He does not have the ability, I seriously think this, he does not have the ability to really explain his policy to the American people. And it's not because the policy is unpopular. I'm not saying that. Build Back Better itself may be unpopular, but, the policies themselves are things that you can tout, right, to make it more popular. Of course, there is a intense partisanship in the country, and there is an intense association with spending to inflation. And inflation is a problem. So, what can you do about that other than talk about the individual policies? I think the answer is very little. So, Biden has not done made any real attempt to sell his policy to the American people, which is bad. And the second thing about this, which annoys me to no end, right, is the idea that Joe Biden should get a pass because of Manchin and Sinema. I mean, I knew Manchin and Sinema would be an issue in 2020. I knew that, right? I knew he was going to get I didn't know he was going to get a 50-50 Senate. Holy shit, I can't talk. A 50-50 Senate. Did not know he was going to get it. But I did know he was going to get a Senate that wouldn't work with him. Whether that be a Republican Senate, which I had assumed would occur in 2020, or whether that be a very thinly divided Senate, which occurred in 2020. So I knew that. I don't know how he didn't know that, because he should have known that, because Manchin was already elected in 18, Sinema was already elected in 18, and they were already moderate, right? And everyone else, right, like Doug Jones and John Tester and Mark Warner, you should have known that these people, Angus King, right, you should have known these people were moderates, and you should have prepared for that, right? You should have had some negotiations that didn't just fall apart. And a lot of people think that Manchin is arguing in bad faith. No, he's arguing in West Virginia faith, which, outside of being evangelical, is not something that the Democratic Party tends to want to think about, right? The fact that the Democratic Party is institutionally disadvantaged in the Senate. So what should the Biden administration do? They should sit down with Manchin and ask what his lines are, and then they should, follow those lines. Because Manchin, by the way, if you actually look at what Manchin has said, and I am no fan of I'm no, Joe Manchin acolyte, right? I think Joe Manchin is good because he wins in West Virginia, but, I'm no fan of Joe Manchin as a politician. I mean, I'm trying to think of how to word this, because I do think he's a good politician, but I don't support his policy, right? That's the best way to put it. That being said, Manchin has been very clear about what he wanted, which was, I think he gave a price tag of 1 point something trillion, and he also gave certain red lines, and I don't want this, I don't want that. Okay, he is the 50th vote in the Senate. To get his vote, which you need, you have to negotiate with him. And it's not like Manchin backed down from anything. He said what he wanted, and he got, and they didn't give it to him. So that's weird, right? Shouldn't you have done that very early on? Shouldn't you have looked at that? Because you knew he was the 50th vote. Why didn't you do that? And I'm sitting here thinking, where is Biden in all of this? Because you look at the news articles, it's never Biden pushing something. It's always Manchin. It's always Sinema. It's always someone like Janet Yellen. It's never Biden himself. So that annoys me to no end. So for that reason, I am pissed at Biden. Biden is not a good president in the sense that he is not able to sell his own agenda in a way that even Donald Trump could. Donald Trump, for all of his faults, was an idiot, obviously. I have to put that every single time I mention his name. The worst part about Donald Trump, other than his, proto-fascism, is the fact that he was an absolute idiot. That being said, he did know how to talk to the average American in a way that Joe Biden was able to do, but just happens to not be doing. I don't know why he's not doing it. When he speaks, when he gives a speech, like on January 6th, on voting rights, they're generally good speeches. That one union speech in West Virginia, that was a good speech. I think it was during the campaign, though. Or it was in Pennsylvania, actually. Regardless, the point is, he gives good speeches. I don't know why he's not doing it. He should be. He's the president. So, with that being said, I am annoyed at Joe Biden, and I will continue to be annoyed by Joe Biden for the foreseeable future unless he changes his act. And by the way, the Democrats are headed for a bad time in the midterms, although not really because of this, primarily because of the economic woes that we're seeing. That being said, those economic woes can be partially put on the fact that Build Back Better, which is an economic stimulus, despite not being touted as one for some reason, has not passed. And the other thing is, why is Biden not talking about the child tax credit that just expired? He should be out there every 15th of the month, whenever that child tax credit comes in. I don't know because I don't have kids. He should be talking about every single month. This is the Biden cash. I'm giving you cash, guys. This was the stimulus that made a lot of people vote for Trump in Texas, right? So why is Biden not doing that? I have no clue. I don't know why. It's upsetting, it's annoying, and it needs to change. Just like everything around us, because the change we need to see is always in progress. Thank you for watching.